guys, welcome back to another video. Lots to talk about today, starting with the Nintendo Switch 2 apparent leaks. We have some Xbox news, we have some PlayStation news. We will get into all of that, but before we do continue, if you do enjoy daily gaming news and content, hit the like, hit the subscribe, share the link around, and check out my Spotify. Link is in the description. Now, as we know, when we talk about the console wars, a lot of people really focus on PlayStation versus Xbox, and that landscape of gaming is completely changing with opening of the ecosystems, their games being in multi-platform in many different spots. So it's kind of a weird discussion now when you do talk about console wars, but the one company that people always forget about for some reason, even though it is the winner of the console wars and by far the most successful console, is Nintendo and the Nintendo Switch. It is on the verge right now of breaking the record for the best-selling console of all time, beating the PlayStation 2, and I fully expect it to do that. And we're also on the verge of the announcement and the details about the Nintendo Switch 2. There's always leaks and rumors before the release of a console. A lot of them are fake. If you remember with the first Nintendo Switch, there was that weird one that a lot of people fell for with that weird shaped controller and screen that people thought it was going to be the Nintendo Switch, and that was shown to be 3D printed. And now we have something similar going on here with the Nintendo Switch 2, but this one looks far more realistic, and I would not be surprised if this is an actual real leak of the Switch 2. So we have this report here. These images appeared on Reddit, and they were originally sourced from a Chinese social media site showing a device with a larger 8-inch screen, magnetic Joy-Cons, and USB-C ports on both the top and the bottom of the device. You can see here the images that are floating around on the internet of the apparent Nintendo Switch 2 that basically looks exactly like the current Nintendo Switch, just in a bigger form factor and some nicer Joy-Cons in terms of how they will connect. The rails on the Switch are fine, but they're kind of annoying sometimes to get on and off. We're pretty happy with some magnetic connecting Joy-Cons that just snap in and out very easily. So these are images going around, and this may be our first look at the Switch 2 before Nintendo finally gives us the announcement, which I think is going to be coming sooner rather than later, because we've seen influencers be invited over to Nintendo of America all at the same time. I'm presuming that's for Nintendo to show them the Switch 2 and let them know, hey, this is the hardware that you're going to be working with that we want to see your games on. So I feel like this announcement is coming pretty soon. So you see some pictures of the Switch. We also see some casing of it, some, I guess, 3D printed or just shells of what the console is going to look like. Now, first reaction here is, very underwhelming design, but it's not surprising. When I was thinking about the Switch 2, I did not think at all that they were going to do something crazy and different. Just wouldn't make any sense with how good the Nintendo Switch has sold. They probably really want to try to get a decent transfer rate from the current Switch to the Switch 2 and bring as many people to crossover as possible, even though this one is going to be backwards compatible. You're going to be able to play everything, and you're going to still be able to use your current Switch. They're going to want to get people to go out there and buy the Nintendo Switch 2, so they're not going to introduce anything radical that is going to stop people from wanting to do that. Some of the designs, as you do see here, in terms that could be different, is that the revised SL and SR buttons and the front-facing player LEDs. Those are some of the differences that we do see here. Now, there's a bunch of information on the actual specs that did come out if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty, but this is some of the information that I guess is easy to understand that could be coming with the next Nintendo Switch. Like I said, magnetic Joy-Cons is a big thing for me. 12 gigabytes of RAM. There'll be 256 gigabytes of internal storage. Now, we don't know if that's just one version. Will they have multiple SKUs, like a 512 gigabyte? But of course, you can also, with the current Switch, easily add on memory with like the micro SD cards or mini SD cards, and that's something I'm assuming is going to transfer over to the Nintendo Switch 2. They say there's 2 USB-C ports and that this announcement will be coming soon. So this is potentially our first look at the Nintendo Switch 2. Again, this could be completely fake, but because of just how normal this one looks, and this is exactly what I was expecting, I would not be surprised if this is the real Nintendo Switch 2. Just an upgrade to the Switch. Plays all the same games. Going to hopefully be able to get the newer games on there, even if they're at lower resolutions and things like that. And it's going to continue to just do what it does, and I think sell very, very well. The other question, obviously, that people are going to have in mind here is, What is the dock like? Will the dock add more power? Is that going to be a game changer for it? And what will be the price? I'm guessing they're keeping this to $399, $499 at most when it comes to the price of the console. And then of course the screen, how good is that screen going to be? So I'm excited for this because this is going to be a major player. Although it's underpowered compared to the Xbox Series X and the PS5, especially with the PS5 Pro coming out, the Switch is going to be a major player in the console wars. If all you care about is console sales, you're going to see a lot of people gravitating towards getting a Switch 2 versus the other platforms out there, or even as a supplement to the other platforms that are out there. So pretty excited for that announcement. Okay, let's just quickly talk about this because there was a huge controversy with this game with Enotria, the last song, where they put out social media posts calling out Xbox and their lack of communication. The second time this has happened in recent memory. And it's just something that obviously Xbox needs to get a grasp on and control so this doesn't happen anymore. It shouldn't take a social media post to get things, to get a game be able to be launched on the platform. I'm not sure the last song was actually first shown off at ID at Xbox, but then there was this whole story where them coming out and saying that they weren't even going to make the Xbox version of the game until they had finished the PlayStation version. And then after that, they came out and called Xbox out. So it's kind of been a weird story, but the game is coming to Xbox. And ID at Xbox put out a brand new post promoting it, saying, a beautiful sunlit and inspired by Italian nature hiding dark secrets behind its bright facades, you need to unravel the mysteries of the stunning world. Enotria, the last song from Giant Games, is coming soon to Xbox, wish listed now. So it's up on the store. Obviously, all of the issues have been worked out. The reviews for this game are out. It's very average. I mean, it's nothing really to write home about. Although there was a lot of people complaining, it would be super interesting to see how many people who complained actually are going to pick up Enotria, the last song. Many people actually played it. So it is available now, though, to wishlist if you want to pick it up on Xbox. Now, one of the biggest games coming out this year from Xbox is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I can't wait for this game. I think most people who are fans of Indiana Jones or fans of Xbox first party games and want to play them are excited for Indiana Jones. And we now know, well, we've kind of already know this, but we have some information here from The Guardian, but just how involved George Lucas and Steven Spielberg have been in this game. They say here that they've been constantly involved with the development of Indiana Jones. And they, in quote, saying, I think that what will surprise people is how authentic it feels. If you're an Indiana Jones fan, this will be your fix. So that's exciting. If you're a fan of the franchise, you're a fan of the game, I feel like this is going to be definitely for you, and you will feel at home playing this game. When they first showed it off and you saw Harrison Ford there, his face and everything as Indy, that was a nice moment. I think people were wondering if they were going to go that direction or go in a different direction and bring in a new face to the series or franchise, but happy that they did do that. And of course, yes, this is first person, so you're not going to be seeing his face very much, but there are third person moments. But it's Machine Games. They make great first-person experiences from everything we've seen from the combat, the exploration, and just the adventure of this game. In the trailers we have seen, it looks like it's going to be an awesome game. So this is a massive Game Pass game, day one, first-party Xbox game, and just going to be a great way to end off 2024. Okay, let's talk over here about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Final Fantasy 16. I think we're going to get an announcement for one of these games at TGS for this coming to Xbox finally, especially Final Fantasy 16. I feel like that's the one we are going to hear about at TGS this year. But one of the things with Square Enix that we've been hearing a lot about is their strategy, and they're disappointed in their exclusivity strategy of keeping it only on PlayStation. And they talk about this even more. And this is why we are going to see Square Enix stopping their exclusivity with PlayStation, why they want to get their games into more places, and why we're going to see them be multi-platform games, PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch 2, maybe, who knows, maybe they'll put it there. I mean, that's probably a big loss for them that they weren't able to somehow get a version running on the Nintendo Switch because of how big it is in Japan. But they commented on both of these games, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Final Fantasy 16, saying that they were underperforming. They did not meet expectations. It says here, as a part of the newly published results briefing, which was originally held in May, the company said that profits unfortunately did not meet its expectations, despite the release of Foam Stars, again, another one that was a PlayStation exclusive, and finally Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in Q4. initial sales were not as strong as expected. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was released around 1 month prior to the investor briefing. They say all 3 underperforming games were initially PlayStation 5 console exclusives, and as such, it could be argued that had they been released on the Xbox, Square Enix could have generated extra income from them. And they absolutely would have. They would have definitely generated extra income from these games, releasing them on Xbox at the same time as PlayStation. There are certain games that just prosper better probably in the Asian region, so they just put them on PlayStation there, put them on the Switch there, and if there's no Xboxes and people playing Xbox in those regions, some of these developers will think, well, there's no point in putting in the resources to do that. But Final Fantasy is not one of those games. This is a mainstream game. Everybody who's a fan, there's tons of fans over here, would have played it if they wanted to play it on Xbox. They would have sold lots of copies on the Xbox platform, and I believe that when it does come out on Xbox, it will do pretty well. This isn't something they're going to look at and think that they wasted their resources or money putting it into. So they lost out on a ton of money because PlayStation dropped a bag to get these games exclusive to help bolster their current lineup that is lacking in first party content. And now Square Enix is regretting it because of the increased development costs and how expensive everything has been. They need to be able to sell more copies everywhere. And that's why the multi-platform strategy is the way to go. And in the company, they do say they're going to shift to a multi-platform strategy. They say in the case of HD Games, we will create a global environment that allows more customers to enjoy our major franchises and AAA titles, including from our back catalog. So excited about that. Hoping we get some big announcements here at TGS about these games coming over to Xbox. Now, when it comes to PlayStation, as I say, their first party lineup is absolutely lacking. And I think that is pretty much undeniable if you're just being objective and looking at what they've actually released over the last 2 years. Astrobot's been great. Spider-Man 2, those have been 2 games, but that's pretty much been it. I mean, you see Concord, how big of a flop that was. And as we know with the PlayStation strategy, they are going to be taking less risks. They need to be able to make more money off of all of their single player franchises. We've seen all the remasters and remakes of The Last of Us, and it seems like they are doing more of this, but this time with Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered has been rated for the PlayStation 5 and the PC. It says the rating comes following the announcement of the PlayStation 5 Pro, and rumors suggesting that PlayStation will have a state of play coming by the end of the month. And the summary is of the game, and that it's unclear whether this remaster will have PlayStation 5 Pro features. I would assume that it will. I mean, this would be something that maybe they want to launch with the release of the PS5 Pro and kind of show the differences between the two games, although to the naked eye, it doesn't seem like a massive difference. Of course, things are sharper, but that's probably something that they're aiming for. But it's just another game, another remaster from PlayStation, something that they are doubling down on. And it's kind of annoying to see because I would much rather personally see them dig into their back catalog, bring out some older titles, or come up with some new IPs and not cancel them a week after they have been released. So Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered, rated for the PC and the PlayStation 5. If you haven't played it yet, I've tried playing this game twice, and I don't know why it never clicked with me. It was boring to me. So I don't think I'll give it a third try here with a remastered version. Okay, let's talk xDefiant, because xDefiant, we've seen so many different reports on it. It almost seems like people are hoping this game does fail. We've seen reports that they're in their last legs here because of the user base falling off. And with a game like Call of Duty Black Ops 6 coming out, which is, I would thinking is going to absolutely destroy it in terms of player numbers, it's going to be harder for xDefiant to really find its niche and find its player base on a consistent basis. So we've seen reports about it dying, but now we have xDefiant Studio claiming here that the game is absolutely not dying. So if you're a fan of it, I've played xDefiant. It is fine. It is a fun game. It looks like it is still here to stay. It says the studio addressed the status of the free-to-play shooter on Tuesday following reports that there's been a sharp drop in interest in the game. Here's what they say. No, the game is absolutely not dying. We know there are things we need to improve, like netcode and hit rate and adding more content to progression, but the game is doing well. We just wanted to do better, and we do that by addressing the concerns of our community, which has always been the plan. Ubisoft is very much behind us and has allocated more resources to the team in order for us to do that. So xDefiant, don't worry. At least for now, it is not going anywhere. I think it's a good game. I think it has a lot of potential. It's just, again, with multiplayer, live service, games as a service games, content is so key. And if you ever have a moment where you're lacking at content at the start of the game when it does release, we saw this happen with Halo Infinite, which was detrimental to its success. And right now, Halo Infinite is, in my opinion, one of, if not the best Halo experience that out there that we've ever had in terms of gameplay and everything. The content is phenomenal, but if you don't hit with the content at launch, people just fall off. They don't care and they don't go back because they have so many other things to play that they would just rather stick to than getting into something new and having to learn new mechanics and new gameplay and all of that stuff. Now, when talking about Ubisoft, another massive game for them is going to be Assassin's Creed Shadows. And I think one of the things in recent times with these open world Assassin's Creed that people fear is the just size of it. I'm not someone who cares because I love Valhalla, Origins, Odyssey. I love Mirage. I love all of these older Assassin's Creed games too. Put in hundreds of hours into Valhalla. So I'm actually looking forward to another open world Assassin's Creed game. But now we know the size of it, and I will say here, the size that they are aiming for, I think, is actually the perfect size when it comes to the open world adventures. They say it's bigger than Mirage, which was semi-open world, but a lot of linear gameplay in Mirage, and it was a fun game. But smaller than Valhalla, and they say Ubisoft only needed to make a small slice of Japan, and they're talking about Origins as a size comparison. If you ever played Origins in ancient Egypt, phenomenal game, a great way to kick off the open worlds, and I thought it was actually a very good size. So if you're thinking this is going to be as big as Valhalla, which was gigantic, a massive game, it is not going to be. It is going to be more dense and closer to Origins in size, which I think is a smart move here by Ubisoft, and I'm excited for this game. I think it's going to do well. I know there's already a lot of negativity surrounding. You'll have a lot of people out there hoping it's going to fail because of the protagonist that they did select, which I think is stupid, but I think it's going to sell very well, and I think it's going to be a success, and I'm excited to jump in here to Assassin's Creed Shadows when it does drop. Okay, we have a couple more things here. Some closures as continuously is happening. Behavior shuts down Midwinter Entertainment after Project T cancellation. So maybe you haven't heard about this one, but this is just another studio closure in a long line of negativity this year in the gaming industry with layoffs and cancellations. But it says after Project T was canceled due to poor reception, Behavior Interactive has seemingly shut down the studio developing the game as well. And according to multiple posts online, Midwinter Entertainment has been closed by Behavior Interactive. So if you're a fan of that game, it didn't do well, and now the studio behind it is closed. Marathon, we keep hearing a lot about it because I think this is a very big here for PlayStation. I mean, we're not hearing a lot about the actual gameplay mechanics or anything, but we're hearing about what this game needs in order to succeed and how big it is going to be for that multiplayer games as a service game for PlayStation. But apparently no significant reveal is going to be coming until 2025. And this, again, it's a rumor, but this is according to Paul Tassi at Forbes, saying sources tell him that there are no plans for any significant reveals for Marathon until spring 2025 at the earliest, and adds here that there may be something small to give a few updates on the game, but nothing major will come until next year. And that's kind of what people were thinking, but there was also that thought that maybe at the Game Awards they come out here and give us another look at Marathon to start building up the hype for it. Because I think it is a massive game here. After the fail of Concord, PlayStation really can't fail on Marathon. This thing needs to do well. With all the resources that have probably been put into this, with the purchase of Bungie and the games that they make as a part of that purchase for PlayStation, to try to expand out their games as a service and multiplayer side of things, a new IP from the studio that they specifically bought for that needs to be successful. So we will see more about Marathon in 2025. But I'm going to end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new, hit that subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. We'll be right back.